The International Lighthouse and Lightship Weekend is an annual event, first started by radio amateurs and now also the weekend at which lighthouse associations open up the doors to the lighthouses. It's 9 in the morning and the car is loaded with all the antenna and radio gear I need for the activation of Krogsta Udde Lighthouse on the Swedish west coast. The lighthouse is located about 60 kilometers north of where I live at a small fishing village called BUA and the harbor of the nuclear power plant Ringhals. It was built in 1928 and it replaced two carbide lamps that were placed on poles out in the water. The lighthouse is about 7 meters tall and made of wood. We're now getting closer to BUA and we're about to go onto the gravel road that leads out to the lighthouse. Finally we can see the lighthouse. We're getting close to where we're going to park the car and participate in the event. We're at the end of the road, as close as we can get to the lighthouse. It's a small lighthouse, but it's a really beautiful location. As I really wanted a big pile-up, I decided to bring my 600 watt amplifier. For that, I need power, so I rented a 3 kilowatt generator and about 100 meters of cable. Generators are known to be noisy, both audible and radio-wise. To cut down on the audible noise, I decided to rent a really quiet Honda generator, and I also placed these rubber weights around the generator. There was a lot of stone in the ground, but I grounded the generator as good as possible. I also used RCDs for both cables. Back at the car, I put some tables up and I hooked up all the wiring for the radio gear. Operating from the back of the car worked out really great. I was shielded from the sun and from the wind, which was a problem the previous year. I grounded the radio station as good as possible. There was a lot of stones in the ground here as well, so I decided to throw out 2 extra radials for good measure. I used about 30 meters of coax from the car to the mast. As a mast, I used a 5-meter long telescoping grade rod. I placed it on top of a small wooden contraption about 2 meters high to get a total height of about 7 meters. That worked out great for the 40-meter and 20-meter elements of my inverted V antenna. I used some stones and some rope to anchor the mast. That worked out good. Even though it was a little bit windy, the mast was rock solid. With the white rope going up to the mast to a pulley, it was possible to lower the balloon so I could change the elements. I put some information about the event, about amateur radio and about the lighthouse on the side of the car, so if people came up they had something to read and to understand what I was doing there. And actually there were quite a few people who poked their head into the car and had a look at the radios and the gear. So looking from left to right, we have a high headset, which I used with the PTT pedal, the radio, an ICOM IC7300, the power supply, an automatic tuner by ILLW, and the Meritron amplifier. I was on the air from about noon till 9 in the evening. All in all, it was a really fun day. The weather was nice, the gear worked out really good, I had some really nice pile-ups. I had a little bit over 400 QSOs in the 9 hours I was activating the lighthouse. QSOs mostly with Europe, the British Islands, France, Spain, Germany, Italy, but also with Japan and South America. I can really recommend that you activate the lighthouse during the International Lighthouse and Lightship Weekend. It's a great way to get out and play radio and to tell people about the hobby and about lighthouses.